We move on to our final topic now on Behind the Pen. Blog Talk Radio listeners, thank you very much for staying with us. I'm with Sean Anderson of the Fast Break podcast. We've had so much fun talking Major League Baseball offseason moves and everything else that went down this winter, and we're going to kind of end this show with winners and losers and some notable deals throughout the offseason to this point, December 8th. On YouTube, what's up? Anyway.
Be 5 days from now, so something's huge is going to happen.
Yeah, Ricky. Anyway.
It's the way we schedule it.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's not Ricky's fault, even though it kind of is. I look at the offseason. He's
going to be so pissed at you.
That's fine. He's always pissed at me. I look at the offseason, and the one striking deal immediately, and it was kind of the one that kicked off the offseason, was the Yoenis Cespedes move. Yeah. He, first of all, opted out of that. He just played the Mets. He totally played the Mets. Signed that mega deal last year, and he opted out after the 1 year. He made like $28 million one season, and then he signs a mega 4-year, $110 million contract, which is about 27.5 average annual value. I'm not sure if that is. I'm not sure if it's front loaded, back loaded.
But I also looked at that and said, "That's it." Because I felt like the way he played him, I thought he was going to try to get more than that.
That's or at a lot
least,
of money.
Or at least
4 years.
But I thought it was either going to go for a longer contract or a more expensive contract. Just the way that it played out, I thought it was going to go for
maybe more years. But $110 million over 4 years is a ton of money. And you look at the remaining free agents in the offseason. I mean, Encarnacion wants similar type money, but we talked about it earlier in this podcast. He may not get that. He may have to lower his kind of asking price a little bit. But $110 million compared to what Dexter Fowler wants, that guy would probably. I would be, if I'm the Cubs, 4 years, $60 million. I'd do that in a heartbeat for Dexter Fowler. I think he's that valuable. But like, oh my goodness, that's $27.5 million a year for Cespedes. But it makes sense for the Mets because we talk about comfortability with this player, right? And he moved from Oakland to Boston to Detroit. And now to Mets, he found a home with New York. He feels great there, especially we saw that run he made with the Mets in 2015, just carried them the second half of the season. And then last year, he had a good season for himself.
But even in the latter half of that season, he just looked like he was jacked. Like he wanted to bring the Mets into the playoffs by like their collar. Like I mean, he was ridiculous to end the season, and that was the one thing that with Cespedes. I mean, outside of the playoff game that they lost, he was. I still think he was great, and his power hitting and his cannon that he has. He also doesn't have the MLB years. I mean, you look at him; he's 31, but he doesn't feel 31.
Sure, and he's built like a freaking truck, guys. He's unreal. So anyway, that was shocking to me that I guess a high-profile free agent. The Mets, you can have them. That's fine. It's fine. As a Cub fan, you can keep them. But moving on, Mark Melancon, we talked about this earlier in the show, signed with the Giants, 4 years, $62 million, and that's a hefty price for a closer, especially one as valuable as Melancon.
And one that you need, though, if you're the Giants.
That
was a bad bullpen. And,
look at Game 4.
And that's the thing. You have Melancon, you might win that game. And
sure. If you don't take out Matt Moore, you win that game.
The Cubs might not be the
I would be absolutely. I may not be here today because I don't know if they beat Johnny Cueto in Game 5 of the NLDS.
And that's the thing with Cueto, the way he pitched, and now you add Melancon there, and you still obviously have the players in your lineup like Crawford and Posey. The Giants, and the way the Dodgers are falling too, or possibly could fall with their players leaving. I think this is a smart move for the Giants. Whether it's the largest contract for a closer, I think it's a smart move for the Giants.
Oh, I like it a lot. Especially since they need it in that bullpen. Yeah. They were last year the worst bullpen next to the Reds in all of baseball. And that was ultimately what cost them the playoffs, among other things. But that was solid signing. Melancon's a really good closer, one of the best in the game. And continuing on the theme and trend of closers, Aroldis Chapman. The Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman, and the Yankees got a huge haul of prospects highlighted by Gleyber Torres, one of the top 30 prospects in baseball. And then they ended up signing him in the offseason, 5 years, $86 million after the Cubs totally just used the hell out of him. Literally, he was throwing like 98 in Game 7. It was actually sad to see a guy who throws so hard he couldn't get it up there anymore because the Cubs just taxed his arm. But rightfully so. They knew that he wasn't going to come back in the offseason, the Cubs' sake. But the Yankees managed to get a top prospect, revitalize their farm system with that package for Chapman, and then they ended up signing him for a long-term deal. Now, when are the Yankees going to be good again? Let me ask you this.
A year.
1 year there. You think they're out?
The one question that I'm worried about with them is how much are you going to be able to use Chapman, because I'm not too sold on their current rotation. But also in that year, Bryce Harper's going to become a free agent.
True.
And I don't know if you know
2018?
I don't know if you know this. Yankees got money.
They do.
And they will throw
2019?
all of that money, all of the $400 million towards Bryce Harper. So you're going to have Bryce Harper, you're going to have Chapman, you're going to have the slew of young guys like Sanchez, Judge, Torres, like you brought up. I mean, they're going to have a stacked lineup. And the one thing that's like, is the rotation. But obviously teams have proven that you don't need a rotation to get to the playoffs.
You can fix that quickly.
Yeah.
And they do have options in that farm system.
Arietta's going to be a free agent too.
Dylan Betances is still is under contract for a while. I'm not sure. I think it was like 2019 he's going to be a free agent. So you have an opportunity to be one of the best late inning bullpens in the game, and Chapman solidifies that. So
again, too. I mean,
right, and they got Chapman back.
Just think of it. Last time this season, they had Betances, Chapman, and Andrew Miller.
I know. Ridiculous. Anyway, continuing, one more closer on the move was Wade Davis. Wade Davis acquired by the Cubs for Jorge Soler, 1-for-1. Wade Davis will be a one-year guy with the Cubs. His physical checked out. I know there were some questions over his forearm, but this is one of the best closers in the game. Proved that he could be dominant in the postseason. Won the World Series with the Royals in 2015. Got the last out. And that's what the Cubs need. You have to have late inning relief. And we saw that in the postseason this year, so that was an awesome move. And Jorge Soler just didn't fit with the Cubs anymore.
Real quick, what are your actual thoughts on that? I
like it a lot.
You like it a lot? Because the one thing with Soler, too, is, and one thing we talked about was right after they won was talking about the outfield. Because obviously Hayward's been a disappointment so far after his contract.
1 year, yeah.
Schwarber obviously was ridiculous. It's hard going to be not to play him.
He's going to play him.
Yeah, since you don't have a DH. Zobrist is going to be a weird position because Baez is emerging. You
have to play Baez a lot. Brian will probably be in left.
With Fowler, too, it's if you sign him, if you don't sign him, I think this kind of pushes towards you may sign him.
Maybe.
Kind of clearing out
that's not
that
out of
outfield.
question.
Almora as well. So, I mean.
John Jay they signed.
Yeah, so, I mean, do you think that it's the right step? Do you think out of all the people in the Cubs outfield that Soler was the right one to move?
Yeah, no, he had value. He's still cost controlled. Mm-hmm. And I mean that
he's only 24 too.
And Wade Davis that's true. Wade Davis is one of the best relievers in the game. So, and given the fact that the Cubs were in a position where they weren't going to play him much, and to really gauge Soler's value, he has to get playing time every day, and he's just not going to get that on this roster. So they turned into a guy that they can use. And I like it a lot. And
one thing, too, with Soler not going, and I know we don't want to keep this too long, was with Soler, he doesn't have to deal with the pressure of being on the Cubs anymore. He doesn't have to deal with the pressure of, you get a ring, but you also don't have to deal with the pressure of, all right, I'm going to be a pitch hitter here. I have to come in cold off the bench in the World Series for a team that hasn't won in 100 years.
You got to start in the World Series, and it was brutal. He's a terrible outfielder.
So, and now you're going to be a 24-year-old kid who can go to Kansas City where
DH for you.
They love you. I mean, they love their baseball team there, and
sure.
And you don't have to deal with too much pressure. It's kind of with Giolito, too, with Giolito being thrown into a Nats rotation where he has to back up Scherzer and Strasburg.
Plus, they're in the middle of a playoff run with the White Sox. He can ease in.
You need a win now mentality. Where with Soler, you don't really need that with the Royals because you have so many guys around you, but it's also not that big of a market and big of pressure. And same with Giolito too, where it's a bigger market, but you don't need the pressure because the team.
As a Cubs fan, I really do like the move. But as we move on down this list, Ian Desmond to the Rockies, 5 years, $70 million. I really like that move for the Rockies because you look at that infield: Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, and now Desmond, who will play first base. That's legit. Obviously, they have questions within the rotation. They have Chatwood, Gray, and Anderson, who are exciting, and then Chad Bettis. I mean, you can rely on him too, but he's but you look at the Rockies playing at Coors Field. Obviously, Ian Desmond. Oh God, that guy's gonna hit so many bombs. Mm-hmm. So many bombs. That infield is going to be so awesome. And even their outfield. If they want to dangle Blackman out there, that's something to keep an eye on too. But the Rockies are making plays to be kind of relevant, so that was really interesting. Carlos Gomez coming off his worst season as a big league player, signs with the Rangers 1 year.
Re-signs,
re-signs with the Rangers 1 year, $11.5 million. $11.5 million. That's kind of, I was a little surprised by that.
But also we got to see what's the actual bonus, what's actually guaranteed.
Well, sure.
I mean,
he's a comeback player of the year candidate, no doubt about it. Rangers I'm guessing are not done. I think they were in on Quintana too. So that's something to keep an eye on. They definitely need rotation help.
They also don't have a lot because they're a team that went all out. And they don't have that much of money to really spend on free agents. But
they're still the best team in that division, I think.
I even think the Astros are. But
true.
With that too, I mean, your prospects. I mean, you gave up so many for Hamels, and I mean, you gave up so many for your catcher, Lucroy. I mean, it's going to be tough to make moves. So
that's going to be so fun.
With the Rangers, I think they're handicapped here.
The Rangers and Astros. Oh.
But also the Mariners.
They're relevant.
I think the Mariners can honestly be a good team here because I don't think you can really sleep on them.
Gene Segura.
If they make a move for a outfielder in some capacity, I don't know who specifically, maybe Melky, and you could put him in left, and you possibly go out and get Quintana. If you could add Quintana and Melky to that lineup, I think the Mariners can be legit contenders. And I'm not saying just in the AL West. I'm saying in the AL in general. Because you're going to have an outfield of Martin, Seth Smith, who's a decent power.
You're on the Mariners train, huh? I don't blame you.
I love the Mariners. And then you got Robbie Cano,
was legit,
who bounced back. Segura, who was a monster last year. Kyle Seager, who's a Kyle.
Oh, my bad. Kyle, I'm thinking of
his
shortstop.
brother.
Yeah, my bad.
His brother. Not as good as his brother, but he's still a good player. I mean, you also have Felix Hernandez, who's been down, but still, I mean, he's still Felix Hernandez. And if he can bounce back like he can, you have one of the best pitchers in baseball. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm too hyped.
That's all right. You can hype the Mariners all you want.
You got Nelson Cruz, too.
No doubt about it. No, I love it. Moving on, we talked about the Astros. They signed Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran, 1 year, $16 million. I like it.
I love that move.
I like that move. He's still got pop in his bat. Josh Reddick also went to the Astros 4 years, $52 million.
Brian McCann.
Well, and Brian McCann.
And they also got Nori Aoki, too, in that outfield.
Yeah.
He's a bench player.
He's not bad.
Not bad contact.
And that, I mean, I'm sure we're missing some, but we just went through kind of the most, talent. I mean, the Diamondbacks made a move to get Taijuan Walker, which was surprising to me because I don't know what the hell the Diamondbacks are ever doing. No. I mean, I guess they capitalized on Gene Segura's production at second base, but he's legit. They also got the shortstop from the Mariners, so that was solid.
Ketel Marte.
Yeah, thank you. And so, all right, maybe Diamondbacks, do what you got to do.
You have Goldschmidt, too. You have Pollock and center.
I don't know, man.
You have Greinke hoping to bounce back.
They had so many things going on with them in the offseason, too, within their front office. I don't know the direction of the Diamondbacks. They invested so much in Shelby Miller and Greinke, and Greinke was a disappointment. Shelby Miller was sent down.
Can't forget about Shelby Miller.
It was so bad. That's the Diamondbacks. I'm glad we're not Diamondbacks fans. And even Diamondbacks fans are glad they're not Diamondbacks fans.
Those uniforms, too. I don't know
Brutal.
I don't know about them.
Stepping in bear traps and stuff.
Jesus.
Their ankles are all bloody.
Give me 2001.
The purple ones?
Yeah.
I love those purple.
The Mark Grace ones.
That's fine. Anyway, final topic. We are almost at an hour here on this podcast. Thank you all for sticking around. I hope you were entertained by us talking Major League Baseball because we were entertained talking about it. It's so fun. Winners and losers. Sean, what do you think? Who do you think were the winners and who do you think were the losers this offseason to this point, December 8th?
Biggest winners, the Sox in the AL, Chicago White Sox, Boston Red Sox. White Sox get rid of all of the grossness of Kenny Williams and Jerry Reinsdorf, even though they're still part of the organization. They get Rick Hahn finally in control. They finally get a farm system. I think they are on the right track as a Sox fan. I love it. Boston Red Sox, too. You get one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's so hard to say you're not a winner after that, especially with the lineup you have. And I would say the biggest loser out of all of these teams, out of every team that has made a move or hasn't made a move, is the Los Angeles Dodgers, because they are in a position where they're waiting on Kenley, they're waiting on Turner. They need to make some moves to stay relevant, because if they lose Turner, you're going to lose a third baseman, you're going to lose your closer in Jensen. Kershaw hasn't been super healthy, and Dave Roberts did a fantastic job, but I don't know if you lose that much and aren't able to regain any of it, because there's not a lot of talk about it. I think that the Dodgers could be a loser.
Good point. I will agree with you. But the Dodgers are definitely not done making moves yet. So I don't think
so, but I think they might be a team that gets desperate and makes the wrong moves.
Maybe they trade for Frazier if Justin Turner ends up signing elsewhere. But given the market, I'm not sure what teams are going to be willing to, put out that kind of money. But anyway, my winners and losers, I look at the White Sox. I agree with you. They're definitely winners. I look at the Red Sox. They're winners. I look at the Yankees. I think the Yankees are big-time winners. You talk about guys in a team in rebuild mode that they made moves that suggest they're not really far off from a resurgence here, especially signing Chapman. You still have Betances under contract. You replace Beltran with Holiday, which is a savvy little move there. So Good job, Yankees. Losers. Detroit Tigers. They didn't make really any moves at all. I don't think they did anything. The Tigers, I know they were competitive last year, but I feel like they gotta do something.
I'll throw one more too there of teams that didn't make a move and should have made a move. Pirates, not trading McCutchen.
Well,
I think so.
I mean that they were probably asking for so much for McCutchen. I mean, more than what the Sox got for Eaton, and what the Sox got for Eaton was such a haul.
But I mean,
can you imagine the Nationals?
It was probably close to the Sale one that they were giving up, and the Nationals were the team that they were thinking about, and obviously they were looking for a center fielder. So I mean, you look at that, and you're pretty much just throwing in. You get Giolito, you get Lopez, you get Dunning, and then you get Robles. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's pretty much the package that you might be looking at, or maybe not Dunning, and you get a lesser prospect, or you just get the three. But that's pretty much the guys that you're looking at if you're the Pirates. So I think the Pirates are not making a move is a loser.
My final loser is the
Twins are always a loser.
Well, come on. Let's not knock them.
Why not?
Because you feel bad for them.
I don't. I'm a Sox fan.
Sure. They still have Brian Dozier. The Toronto Blue Jays outfield, well, big-time bats. Those are the losers here because...
Oh, we're talking players?
But well, for me, going from team to specific guys like Encarnacion and Batista. Encarnacion, 33, looking for a large contract similar to what Cespedes got. And Jose Bautista, he's 36 years old. I guess he's not wanted in Toronto, which is kind of sad.
He's not wanted in Baltimore.
And yeah, you saw that too. Baltimore hates him, so he's not
Boston doesn't want to give him money.
So they're going to have to lose out on what the figures are in their contracts. So that sucks for them.
One place that I will say might be interesting for Jose Bautista, and maybe it's just because of their past, and maybe it's going to be, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass here because they are in rebuild mode, but and they already signed Matt Holliday, but maybe the Yankees. Give him a short porch, 36-year-old, sign him to a 1-year contract.
May have to take a 1-year deal.
On a prove-it contract. I think that might be an interesting idea.
How much more does Jose Bautista have to prove, though?
Prove that he can do it at that age, though.
Well, I mean, if he wants that kind of money, I don't know. I'm not a Major League Baseball player who makes millions and millions of dollars.
I'm not saying he's not bad.
Of course not. But Encarnacion, let's keep an eye on that. I'll probably do a show once he does sign, because that's the story.
Maybe a placeholder for Bryce Harper in right field. 1-year placeholder for Bryce Harper.
Yankees just be like, here you go. Here you go. Money.
That's the one thing as a Sox fan. Like we're coming up, but we also have to deal with the Yankees.
Yeah, sure. So, all right, Sean, thank you so much for jumping on to Behind the Pen. It's always a pleasure. As always, it's so fun talking Major League Baseball. I had to have a partner in crime on the show today because there was so much that went down in the winter meetings over the last few days. This offseason is not over yet, boys and girls. 12/8 right now, December 8th. So keep an eye on that. Pitchers and catchers report that they report in February some point. So I'm excited. I'm just so excited. I'm fidgeting right now. Anyway, thank you all for listening. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, sticking around for this whole hour-long podcast, I really do appreciate you. Be sure to share, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Most Valuable Podcast. Sean, we're at over 4,000 subscribers. Thank you, guys.
Don't forget to roast Mark Weber.
Yeah, Mark Weber roast. We're doing that.
Yes, we are.
If we get to 5,000, we can roast Ricky.
Yes.
So that's something to keep in mind. So let's get there.
It's an easy target, too.
Sure. It's so fun talking sports with you guys. We do it because we love it and we love you. Hopefully you can stay around. I'm at Rankin906. He's at Schwarbo on Twitter. Be sure to follow us. Follow Most Valuable Pod. Become a Patreon. Patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. We'll entertain you more so than we already do. And for Sean Anderson, my name is Mike Rankin. This is Behind the Pen. And as always, guys, we will see you all next time.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.